Hey there everybody, this is Caitlin here and welcome back to the rest of our spoilers for Force of Will, Advent of the Demon King for the rest of this week. Now that we've all caught up with our spoilers and whatnot from the start of the week, I can now move on to the Wind and the Darkness spoilers just from Thursday and Friday here, so we can get all caught up for next week and hopefully be on top of things for discussing all sorts of manner of things to do with Advent of the Demon King. So starting off with our leaf, or rather our wind, green, whatever you want to call them, is leafy after all. We have the Leaf Golem, a 5-cost resonator, which is 2 wind and 3 void, a 15-1500, or rather a 1500-1500 attack and defense. It is both an elemental and a golem, which is or a golem, depending on how you want to pronounce the word, which is very, very interesting. I feel like this is maybe geared towards a little bit more towards maybe draft, but at the same time, since one of its abilities is to do with a card from Ancient Knights, I believe, we might not be pushed towards draft. I guess they are kind of thinking that you could probably run this in perhaps the Gil deck, I suppose it would be aiming for, because it's using elementals and whatnot. So it has a mobilize of 1 void, so you still need to use you still need to mobilize it or whatever in order to get it to attack or block. But as you play this card, you may banish a Leaf Wing and a Leaf Fighter. If you do, you may pay basically all its cost reduced. So basically you pay 1 leaf, not 1 leaf, 2 wind and 3 void. I keep wanting to call it leaf, probably because of like a grass energy from Pokemon, but it is wind obviously. 3 less to play this card, which is very, very interesting. But you can also banish a Leaf Wing and a Leaf Fighter. You can put this card from your graveyard into the field. So very, very interesting here. Yeah, very, very interesting. So basically, you can play this from grave, essentially, or you can play it from your hand, because the way that this is worded here is that you basically just have to banish the Leaf Wing and the Leaf Fighter. It doesn't matter, like, say, I suppose the best way to do it is you could play it essentially twice. So, say you're casting it from your hand. You don't have to pay the 5 cost if you are banishing a Leaf Wing and a Leaf Fighter, because if you do that, then you don't need to pay the 5. Or, if it's in the graveyard, then you can banish the Leaf Wing and Leaf Fighter, get that card from your graveyard into your field. I feel like you would maybe want to do that, you would maybe want to do the banishing thing after it's gone to grave. That way you can still get the chance to bring the card back, because obviously retrieving resonators from your graveyard is a very important thing. I don't believe there's a lot of cards in the wind element or whatever that does a lot of that. Most of the things that return stuff from the graveyard, I think, is dark mostly, if I recall correctly. So it's kind of nice to get that ability there, and it's actually a really cute card. I really like the appearance of these things. It's kind of like a nice mixture of the elemental designs as well as the golems. And at the bottom here it says, I wonder how well I can copy those things. So Gil is just like wondering if he can create his own golems out of like the elemental magic and whatnot. So they're pretty cute. And then next up we have the Leaf Wing itself. It is a very, very simple resonator. It is only 1 wind, a 300-300 flyer. It's an elemental / beast, and that is pretty much it. It is probably only going to be used for basically elemental fodder for both the golem and I guess for using in your Gil deck for discarding it and producing all the things whatnot to do with elemental magic. The only thing I can say about it is that its body shape kind of reminds me of like a pear. It's kind of got like a pear shape in its body, and it also reminds me of, I believe it's called Oricorio from Pokemon Sun and Moon. It reminds me of like a grass type version of that. It's like kind of an interesting shape, so maybe they took a little bit of influence from that. It's also got the really cool long leafy tail here, which I really like. But other than that, we have ourselves another 1-drop 3/3 flyer. Shame that wind resonators don't seem to be getting a lot of big flyers. We seem to only be getting little ones, but I digress. Next up, we have the Leaf Garb, a 2-cost resonator. It's 600-600. It's an elemental / elf. So we're getting all kinds of combinations here in terms of our elementals. We're crossing them with golems, we're crossing them with beasts, and now we're crossing with elves. When this card enters the field, search your deck for up to 2 resonators with leaf in their names and put them into your graveyard. Then shuffle your deck. So this is a good way to kind of like synergize and whatnot with the Gil deck. Well, I keep saying Gil. The Gil the Conjurer deck, because obviously we've got more than one Gil who's a ruler. So this seems to be, if you're like pushing your Gil towards using the kind of discarding of the elementals and whatnot, using them in the graveyard for shenanigans and stuff like that, then I guess Leaf Guard is a pretty good call for you. It's a 2-cost 6/6, so it's still decent, and it's a common, so it's not like it's going to be too hard to get a hold of. Whether or not this will be any good in draft play, probably not. I don't feel like, because unless like they're going to show us even more leaf resonators, then maybe won't be too good in draft play. And finally, for wind, we have a quick cast chant, which is also spirit magic, so very good for your guild deck. End of the Revolution. It is a 3 cost, 3 wind chant with obviously quick cast. Choose one, cancel target spell with total cost 4 or more, or put target resonator with total cost 4 or more on the bottom of its owner's deck. So this is again a rather nice one here. It's giving you a bit of options about what you can do. So you can obviously cancel a spell, which is obviously 4 cost or more, or you can put a resonator with 4 cost or more to the bottom of its owner's deck, which obviously with a lot of kind of bigger cost resonators making their way into the field, you would probably want to save this and use it in that occasion. Like say, I'm trying to think of examples here. Probably like things like a Blazer, things like, I don't know, like a Vingol Valentina. I would say Captain Hook, but he's being banned soon, so probably not even that. This would probably also work for Manticores as well. If like not Manticores. Chimeras is what I want to say, because both the other 2 chimeras, I believe, are 4 or more, so not even just the Griffin, but I'm pretty sure Amit and the Manticore are also more than 4 costs, so that would be pretty good to mess up some Fox decks, to actually put their chimeras into their deck as opposed to outside of their deck, to kind of like mess up with them and stuff. But at the bottom here is like the most saddest little quote. It's like, Gil, I'm sorry I dragged you into this, Freyla's final moments. So I'm guessing that Freyla's final moments may in fact be quoting either another card that we've yet to see, because I don't believe this card has been shown yet, because it just says Freyla's final moments, and I believe that the card that we got featuring Freyla turned into the Majin is not actually named that. I'm pretty sure, because we covered it literally earlier on and whatnot, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be kind of linking into a new card and whatnot. But the artwork is also really sad here, as we see the kind of possessed Freyla attacking Gil, and Gil obviously being torn about whether he has to like actually destroy his friend and whatnot. We don't know too much about the relationship between Gil and the Dark Elves here, but it just seems to be implied that Freyla and Gil were good friends, to the point where obviously she trusted him with continuing this rebellion for her in the name of the Dark Elves. So very, very interesting here. I can't wait till we find out more about these 2. At least I hope we find out more about these 2, because I want to know more about their relationship. You know, if Gil can also be friends with the Elves, then how is he also friends with the Dark Elves? Like, how did that come about? I want to know about that. But next up, moving into our darkness spoilers, we have Hilda and Safina, who were obviously Freyla's right and left hands, but it appears as though they've not gotten the Majin treatment. They've become zombies, so heavily implied that they were killed and reanimated. So they are a 4 cost resonator, 4 darkness, 1000, 1000 attack and defense, dark elf and zombie. When this card enters the field, you lose 1000 life, so that is already quite scary in itself. When this card leaves the field, you gain 1000 life, so you're getting that life back, thankfully. And this card gains swiftness, flying, first strike as long as your life is 1000 or less. So that is actually kind of scary. This seems to be built in particular for Freyla the Ruler. Obviously she does like better things depending on how like low your life is, and things that synergize with that, such as Red Riding, the Dark Red Riding Hood and whatnot. Very, very interesting card. I'm not too sure if this would be good enough for draft, because obviously for draft you don't really want to be losing life unless you're quite in a pickle. This would definitely be good for the Dark Elf Freyla deck, I feel. And also the artwork is just the saddest artwork ever. I believe this artwork is also going to be used for the pre-release playmat, if I remember correctly. And at the bottom here it says, twisted though they were, they remained desperate to serve Freyla. So even in death and reanimated existence, they still desire to serve Freyla, even though she's been corrupted and transformed into this horrible Majin-like creature and whatnot. Next up, we have Dark Elf Fugitive, another 4 cost resonator. This one's 2 darkness and 2 void. Only 800 though, so slightly weaker than Hilda and Safina. This one is just a Dark Elf. When this card enters the field, search your deck for an Elf or a Dark Elf, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So I guess it's like a little bit of tutoring and whatnot. So you could essentially, if you wanted, play this Dark Elf, search out Hilda and Safina if you really wanted to, or maybe some other elf that you've got in your deck, and then shuffle it. A little bit of like searching out in your deck to get some things into your hand is always really nice. The Dark Elves that escaped the portal to the outer world sought help from the Elves. So now, seems like the Dark Elves, either they made their way into the portal or they got sucked into the portal. A load of them got messed up, killed, zombified, turned into magians and whatnot. Some of them seem to have escaped, and now they're seeking refuge with the other elves. I wonder if they'll be granted any refuge, considering how tensions have been between the two. But that's quite interesting here. And next up we have Command of Life and Death. So this one kind of mirrors the fire one that we got the other day there, that was showing Freyla herself being corrupted by Welser, Demon King guy, whatever. This one seems to be taking a dark approach now with the Darkness Magic Crest. It's a 2 cost for 1 Darkness and 1 Void. Put target Resonator with total cost 3 or less from your graveyard into the field. A very, very nice spell. Depending on what you want to play this with, I feel like you could use this to get, say, Dark Red Riding Hood, because she's a 3 cost. There's quite a few different 3 cost Darkness Resonators that would be good targets for the spell. Definitely, I feel like if you know that you've got at least a 3-drop that is really, really vital for your deck, slip this spell in here. It's only 2 costs, so that's really good to get things from your graveyard into the field. With the power of the Magic Crest, the Demon King commanded the dead, so not only has he got the Wicked Spirit / Magians on his side, but now he can reanimate corpses, so all those Dark Elf bodies are going to be put to great use. And then finally, we have Digestion, which is a very bizarre name card and whatnot. It is a 2 cost quick cast one. It is 1 Darkness and 1 Void. Destroy target Wind Resonator. This seems to be just a lot of wind hate. I can see this probably being very, very good for draft, because usually, more often than not, green is a colour that ends up getting the backbone in draft decks, mainly because they get access to most of the counter spells that get printed. So that'll be very good. And this would be a way, because obviously wind usually has a lot of darkness hate in particular. And it's funny how like both wind and darkness now have quite strong kind of like hate against each other's elements. Probably just like to do with like thematics and theming and whatnot and creativity. So it's kind of interesting here how now that wind is a lot of things that particularly focus on destroying or targeting or bouncing darkness things. Now we have a spell that is destroying wind resonators, so that is a very interesting card indeed. And Free of Restraint, the gate to the outer world, pulled in everything around it. Another little reference to the outer world, which we got referenced back way back in Grim Cluster, which also leads me to believe that we are in some version of the Grim world. We're still not sure exactly what. I'm putting my bet on that being like some kind of alternate timeline or alternate universe, because obviously we know that some kind of multiverse / timeline shenanigans do go on in this world. So it seems like we've not quite left Grimm's world yet. We're still here hanging out, potentially, because the outer world has appeared again. So that might be what is going on here. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed these short little spoilers here. Let me know what you think of either the wind or the darkness ones. Which one are you leaning towards more yourself? And are you looking forward to the spoilers that we're going to get next week? It's not long now until the set actually comes out. So now we need to make our decisions about, you know, what are we thinking about for this set? And also, are we actually going to get a third ruler? A lot of people are speculating that we're meant to get a third ruler because it is 3 rulers per set. But obviously, we've yet to see any indication about what that card could potentially be. All we have so far is Ayu and Welser himself. So is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? We'll just need to wait and see. So until next time, guys, I will see you all later.